Alright, we are back with highlights from XPAC. We have Joshua Turner on the phone. I want to jump right into this thing with him. I talked to him earlier today and I took some notes, so I'm looking at my notes. But, huh? What? Yeah, that's fine. But, what we're going to jump into, Josh, is I wanted you to talk about what did you get out of XPAC so far? I mean, as you said, this is like one of the first ones. What did you think about it as you were planning to go? What were your expectations of the event?
You know, I haven't specifically been to CPAC before, but being involved in politics, I've done a lot of these various type of events. Whether it's kind of networking hours where you go, have dinner, hang out, meet some people, or if it's conferences, speeches, etc. And a lot of times you go into these expecting the same thing. You go in, you know, expecting to hear a speech, maybe a quick little photography moment, you know, get your picture up there with a few of the people that, you know, are going to be big. You know, I've done stuff with Representative Ron Paul from Texas, a bunch of the Arizona representatives. And so you kind of get the feeling that you've been to one, you've been to them all. Now, CPAC was really interesting just because, of course, the sheer number of people that come to speak and the networking opportunities. One of the people that I really enjoyed listening to, and I think is going to have a huge future in the Republican Party, and I also say this with, I'll preface it with a warning that I'll get to in a minute, was Marco Rubio from Florida. He is challenging Governor Charlie Crist for the Senate nomination for the Republican Party. And here is a guy that, and I'll be posting the video later tonight that I took of him, but here is a guy that comes from Cuban immigrants. His grandfather was unable to go to work, so they sent him to school. And he tells this amazing story of how, you know, his grandfather always said, I didn't have the opportunities you have, but you live in America, and you will be able to do anything that you want to do. And to me, that really is what makes America unique. I come from fifth-generation descendants from Norway who literally came here with nothing and built, you know, their business and their community in northern Wisconsin, and still to this day are very active there. But, and that's what CPAC is. It's a chance really to go to meet other conservatives, to rally call, you know, and excuse me, you know, but at the same time, it's also not all about the speeches. It's about the people that you meet in the in-between times, the networking that you get to do, the contacts that you get to make, and that's also what I enjoyed.
Exactly, you know, it's a wonderful time where people ourselves, you know, like so many people under the 30 crowd have not gotten involved. I mean, that's the whole reason why Obama won. I used to be involved with a big social media guru, and he got connected with Obama and got him all hooked up with the whole direction. So I saw how everything just blew up, and I'm so glad, you know, because I was listening to Kevin's speech earlier for CPAC, how he was challenging everyone to not worry about the status quo of someone not, you know, sowing their seeds and, you know, and being, you know, matured and seasoned to accomplish things, because the under 30 crowd will not have that level of excellence compared to a 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old man or woman. But it's time to hand the torch over to us so we can try the new ideas, so we can network with each other, that we can get involved, because voting doesn't start when you're 40, it starts when you're 18. And Republicans, conservatives, and independents, whatever you want to call yourselves, we don't seem to get it. And I think we're just now getting it. Josh, can you tell me some of the speakers? I thought we talked about the speakers. What were the best speakers, and what did you get out some of the speakers that you heard during the event?
You know, and I just talked about Marco Rubio, who was great, and also, you know, at XPAC in particular, I really like Andrea Tanteros, who is a Fox News contributor and is a VP for a major public relations firm. And the message that she brought, that it is not necessarily about the deficit in politics in particular that we need to talk about. It's the culture. And excuse me for a minute, I'm getting a little scratchy throat. I apologize.
That's fine.
But it is the culture that we need to focus on. And I mean, if we're going to continue, well, excuse me,
Okay.
down this road, we're going to lose. And as I stated in my Fox News interview, and I think you just said it perfectly, we need to focus on younger generation. The Republican Party in 2006 and 2008 turned its back on college Republicans, on youthful Republicans. They did not do the things that they needed to do in order to help win elections and draw in youth. And I was reading an article today that I'll add to the college Republicans kind of condemning and criticizing XPAC, coming from the National College Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
And in it they said, I didn't come here to play Wii bowling and video games. I came here to listen to speakers. Well, that's great, but the thing that they're missing out is that at night when they could have been listening to great speakers and networking, instead they're all out going and getting drunk at the bars. And unfortunately, that's a perception that needs to be changed. You know, it is about networking. It is about drawing in youth, but doing so in a constructive way that's not going to turn our back on the culture as well. Because I think Andrew Santeros was right that if we lose the culture, we've lost the country.
And you're exactly right on that. The United States of America is a massive mission field, and being ministry-minded, the United States seems to be hurting more in some places than in Africa, because everybody wants to go here and everybody wants to go do this and that and the other, and you know, Haiti's going on and everyone's donating and stuff, but what about getting involved with politics? There is a mission field to the political spectrum. I mean, everyone wants to quote the Old Testament that you must pray for your leaders and that you must respect your leaders and that God picks the leaders. Well, God has made us the hands and feet to send out His message, so why aren't we getting more involved with this? Why don't we find out who these people are? I mean, so many people have a lot of friends on MySpace or Facebook, or maybe even in person. And I think that the time has come that, yes, the status quo of seeing our older people, they'll go to the Hilton and they'll have a big banquet and they'll serve alcohol and they'll drink their wines and their beers and everything, and they all have fun. Well, what about the under 30 crowd that doesn't want to drink and doesn't want to do these things or stuff? They had the Wii, they had the Xbox, they had these games, they made friends. They're trying to show the world that being conservative does not mean that you're boring.
Exactly, and the point is bigger than having the video games there. You know, yeah, we played video games the other day and hung out, but the point is, and the goal of XPAC was to not wait any longer. Look at people like James O'Keefe and Hannah Giles. And regardless of what anyone says about James O'Keefe, let's wait. You know, like Kevin McCollum says, let's wait until the truth comes out. And I think a lot of people will be surprised. You know, the federal government now has 4 more days to file charges against him, and so far nothing's been filed. But but Hannah Giles, let's take a look at her, a 20-year-old who came up with the idea to go undercover and bust one of the biggest, most corrupt organizations in American history that was supposed to be there to serve people. And, you know, as a result of that, Acorn lost their funding. Now what are they trying to do is rename themselves and rebrand themselves as a new group of conservative organizers. And it's going to take more and more people like Hannah Giles, like James O'Keefe, like Andrew Breitbart, to continue to do what the mainstream media will not do.
And you're exactly right, Josh. We're going to take a break. We're going to talk about the differences between mainstream media and more about XPAC. We'll return.